Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasya uttaranopayam pastakami vichintayan vyadatta tirtam udritya vishana grena rodhasi. After planning how to get the she-goat out of the well, the lusty he-goat dug the well's edge with the point of his horns in such a way that she was able to come out very easily. Purport. Attraction for woman is the impetus for economic development, housing, and many things meant for living comfortably in this world. Digging up the earth to make out for the she-goat was a laborious task. But before accepting the she-goat, the he-goat underwent this labor. Ato griha kshetra sutapta vittayar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. The union between male and female provides the impetus for gaining a nice apartment, a good income, children, and friends. Thus one becomes entangled in this material world. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Mahyam Tadati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parishana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Byevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tasya uddharanopayam vastakami vichintayan vyadhatta tirtam udritya Vishana Grena Rodhasi. Maharaj Yati continues to speak, telling an allegory concerning a he-goat and a she-goat, who of course corresponds to himself and his wife. He tells the history how he won the woman. Tasya uddharanopayam basta kami vichintayan. He describes himself as kami, full of lusty desires. the goat has desires for sex. The human being has desires for sex. Kami. So Vichintayan, he was thinking what to do, how to really how to get the girl. Two things: how to deliver this poor girl from how to deliver this poor goat from the well, but how to get the goat. That was his other thought or main thought. Take it either way. We see so many. This is practically the structure of any good romantic movie or novel. How the man goes through so many difficulties, overcomes so many obstacles, crosses this hurdle and that hurdle, and at the end, finally, he gets the girl. This is the way it goes. So much trouble to get the girl. He may be a great warrior, or he may be a poor working slob, but somehow or other he has to go through various kinds of troubles to win the girl, to satisfy his desires. So the Vyatatta Tirtam Udritya, he found the means. Udritya Vishana Grena Rodasi, by digging the earth. So somehow or other one has to win the girl. And then the dealings begin. Pumsa Striya Maitani Pavametam Tayor Mitto Hridiya Grantamahu. The Bhagavatam says that this is the basis of material. Pumsa Striya Maitani, the attraction, man and woman, sexual attraction. Tayor Hridiya Grantamahu. And when they actually unite, then there's a strong knot within the heart. Hridiya Grantam. The materialists celebrate this, how their hearts are bound together in love. But the transcendentalists are not so enthusiastic about that. Hridiya Grantam, that hard, tight knot within the heart. Why? Ata griha kshetra sutta apta vittai. When that knot becomes tight, then we need a home, a flat, a building, whatever. Griha and kshetra, some land or field of activities. And sutta, children have to be there. And apta, we have relatives to satisfy. The in-laws on both sides have to be happy. And apta and vittai, money. So much money is needed to maintain and continue. Vittai. And money means so much trouble to get the money, to protect the money, to invest the money, to spend the money wisely, but especially to get the money, so much difficulty, how to get a job, the whole years and years of education so that one can get a job and earn money. becomes practically the central theme of life. 9 to 5 in the old days, and now more than 9 to 5. We need you to come in here, we need you to come in there, or we need you to be online. So many hours working, so that householders always complain, no time, we have no time. Working hard to get money, and then live nicely, enjoy life. So this is all hard labor. And why would one do it? Except that this impetus is there, that it's for my wife, it's for my family, it's for us. Otherwise, brahmacharis don't have to work hard at all for material maintenance. Their full time is free. They don't worry about where is money, how to get, where to live, how to buy land, how to satisfy relatives. This is simply not an issue. We don't worry about these things. But as soon as there's this union of male and female, these things become so prominent. They become so prominent. And one becomes preoccupied with these things, bound up by these things. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. One becomes bewildered. Moha means bewilderment. Aham mameti. What is that bewilderment? I am this body. Aham. I'm this, I'm that. And mam. This woman is mine. This home is mine. This money is mine. This is mine. That's mine. One becomes bewildered by I and mine and forgets the ultimate purpose of life. So the impetus for all of this is attraction for woman. Therefore, one is best advised to avoid the whole thing. Brahmachari life is the life of freedom. Avoid sex life altogether, and avoid all the trouble that goes with it. Otherwise, one is allowed to get married and live in Krishna consciousness under regulative principles. And then after some time, one should leave it behind. It's not very all that pleasing. It's so much trouble. One may be attached to these things, to the comfort, to the companionship, to this, that, but it's not eternal. It will be gone. And therefore, asanga shastrena dritena chitva, Bhagavad Gita recommends one should cut oneself off from this material attachment. So the first stage in cutting oneself off is vanaprastha ashram. One should not stay in marriage for one instance in time. One should is that what's going on, Aditya? Can't hear it all? Now it's okay. Okay. I think it's internet instability. So one should get out at the mature stage. The vanaprastha ashram provides the opportunity to loosen the hard knot of material existence. The husband and wife retire from material activities, give up sex life especially, and engage themselves in activities for Brahmasokyam Tonantam, unlimited happiness, not the small grihamedi sukham hituchcham, insignificant happiness of sex and home and children and possessions, knickknacks. But Brahmasokyam Tunantam, the unlimited happiness of serving Krishna in bhakti yoga and devotional service. So that stage should come. For young people, this attraction is very strong, so married life is accepted. But to rot in family life until the very end is, Srila Prabhupada said, the grossest form of degradation. And in the previous purport, he said one should be ashamed to be stuck in such a degrading position. One should get free from this. So step by step, one should free oneself from material attachments by absorbing oneself in devotional service, hearing, chanting, serving, associating with devotees. There are 5 items especially mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as very strong: to associate with the devotees, to worship the deity of Krishna, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to chant Hare Krishna, and to live in a sacred place like Vrindavan, Mayapur. These 5 principles of devotional service are very strong. There are 64 items, but among these 64, these 5 are especially strong. So one should seek to engage oneself in these things, especially sadhu sangha, association of devotees, because that's the root of everything. And in this way, one should make progress so that finally one can be freed from material existence. Bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate, and make one's life successful. Success in life is not achieved by having a comfortable home and a wonderful relationship between husband and wife and warm, loving family and prudent investments and so on. These things will all be finished. And therefore, they're like an illusion. We live in that illusion for some time, but one should get out of that illusion and achieve the real purpose of life, to go home, back to Godhead. This is the real business of human life. Otherwise, in every species, sex is there, some kind of home is there, a cave, a nest, whatever. Children will be there. But the human life is meant for, not for these limited sources of happiness and this false sense of I and mine, but for the eternal happiness of serving Krishna in our healthy condition, constitutional position in the spiritual realm. Maybe I'll stop here and see what kind of questions there might be. If any.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Adi Prabhu.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Krishna's wonderful, that's for sure.
How wonderful is Krishna? How wonderful is Krishna? We're here to glorify the Lord. It's interesting how you were saying this limited scope for affection and happiness compared to when we expand. It's not just that we're rejecting the affectionate relationships we might have in family, but actually the family is expanding to the point where it says, Rupa Goswami mentions, when we awaken our genuine affection for Krishna, simultaneously our genuine affection for every living entity is there. And we are astounded at the sannyasis. We just saw Kadambakana Maharaj yesterday. He gave me a big hug and he was holding my arm going, Adi, Adi. I was thinking, look at this affection, he has for some, creature who crawled out from under a rock, And he was leaving the Brooklyn Temple. I don't know where he's going, but traveling. The sannyasis, this austerity of like just setting out, and going everywhere and glorifying the Lord and being satisfied in such a simple life and such an expanded capacity and expanded quantity of relationships, affectionate relationships. It's so wonderful, It's not that we're just rejecting something and cutting it off, but I remember when I came to the movement, my mother used to say, I'm losing a son. And we said, well, you know how it says in the Italian families, if you're not losing a son, you're gaining a daughter. I said, you're not losing a son, you're gaining the whole Hare Krishna movement as part of the family.
Nice. This expanded family and expanded scope of activities, I would think of it a different way. This is our normal family and our normal activities. Mm-hmm. The world of home and job and children and so on, that's the restricted realm, or Prabhupada would say crippled. That's not our real life. That's the restricted or constrained or crippled version of life. The soul isn't meant for being pinned in such a position, but we become stuck because of sex desire. We become stuck in this very limited little world, and we can't go anywhere unless it's for work or a few days of vacation. And we have to stay focused on this world of 2 or 4 or however many small group of people. But when we're freed from that, then normal happy life is resumed. It's not the expanded field; it's the normal field. It's in normal life we have that freedom and that natural concern for all living entities, not just for the Americans or not just for the Joneses or the Smiths, but for everyone, all living entities. So that Atmopamyena Sarvacha Samam Pashyati Yorjana Sukham va yadiva dukkham yogi paramovat. The real yogi sees everyone as being like himself. He atmopamyena. In their happiness and their distress, sukham va yadiva dukkham. They're like me. And either they're absorbed in false happiness, or they're in illusory distress, as I was. So let me help them so that they can also be in happy life, healthy life, spiritual life, Krishna consciousness.
When you're traveling, do you ever feel like, oh my God, where am I going now? How am I going to sleep? What am I going to eat? Where's my protection? Where's my happiness? Do you ever feel like, oh, Krishna? Does it ever occur to you, like, that you're just flying into the unknown, uncharted waters? Do you ever feel like that?
It sometimes occurs to me that I'm flying into the unknown. I wish I were flying into the unknown more, actually. What concerns me much is that I may not be enough that, I'm in some easy and familiar situation and not out enough. I don't worry. Food has never been a problem. Where to stay, there's always something. But but two things: management of traveling is hard. Traveling is easy, just at least for me. Managing it is a pain, but the traveling is not the pain; it's the managing of travel. But then the sense that I'm not doing enough, that it's too easy, too cushy. That's more of a concern for me than
Wow.
Then how will I eat?
Well, we celebrate and appreciate your courage. Traveling.
I wish I had courage. Prabhupada had, now there's courage, see Prabhupada coming to America in his old age and with nothing. That's real sannyas, that's real courage. And that's meant to be the opportunity that after householder life, all right, I'm done with it. Yayati, enough. He went through so much difficulty, even burdening his son with his old age. But finally he thought, enough. He became disgusted. How long am I going to do this? And that, as sex is the impetus for material activity, detachment becomes the basis for spiritual freedom. Life, there's rejecting, but really there is. Finally one says, what is life? One rejects it. One doesn't say, oh, let me have everything. Compassion for all living entities, a nice sex life. No, one rejects it. One rejects it. Enough of this. How long am I going to be chained to this attachment? How long am I going to just be limited in this world by shackles that I, keep on myself? That, I could be free, but I don't want to detach myself. But finally, enough. And he rejects it. Done. No more sex. Enough. How I'm going to go on into my old age with this little paltry, what's the word? Poor substitute for happiness. Am I going to be a pig forever, just trying to satisfy my senses? Let me turn toward a better life. So then he turns his back on these things. It may not be with great drama all at once. It may be enough. There's so many examples in Bhagavatam that Maharajanga, he just left. He was so disgusted with his rotten family life. He just walked out in the middle of the night. Or there's so many other examples. Or else just systematically dismantling or reducing the attachments of family life, one after another. Okay, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And increasing freedom as one treats a disease, a little bit, but not so little. A serious program of detachment. So that one can get free. And then in the mature stage, one can do things. One can really benefit all living entities. One can travel freely. One can dedicate one's whole life. Prabhupada had his family. He had sons and daughters and a business. But what was that compared to what he actually did for spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. He could have stayed home and chanted Hare Krishna and done everything and worshiped the deities and visited temples, and he could have done all of that. What was the need of leaving home? But he knew that to take up my spiritual master's, even his spiritual master reminded him, appeared in a dream, you have to do this. And he said, he thought, this is terrible.
Horrible.
He did it. And see the result.
Last night we were listening to Vaisheshika Prabhu's class at the Bhakti Center. And I noticed as soon as he starts saying, when I was a kid, as soon as, the principles, the philosophy, and even telling the story of the characters in the Bhagavatam, as soon as the speaker starts saying, when I was a kid, everybody, the audience takes a little lean forward thing where they want to hear, somebody's actual. Prabhupada says, example is higher than precept. And when I was a kid in Krishna consciousness, so to speak, I joined at New Vrindavan. I only went to a temple in New York one day before going to New Vrindavan. And as soon as I saw the devotees going out of the temple in the morning to go distribute books and everything, I said, well, I'm not going to do that. So I went to New Vrindavan. I thought, here's a nice thing on the farm. It's cozy. When people want to come, they come. I'm not going to go out and proselytize, right? And then after 4 years at New Vrindavan, I was sent out on Sankirtan. They had to drag me out screaming. I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to go out there. But then it kind of gets into your blood once you get that reflex of like going someplace you've never been before, one after the other, talking to people you have never met or heard of before, and giving them an opportunity to engage in devotional service. Krishna, so wonderful, Krishna, he lets his love flow through you to these people that are complete strangers. Mm-hmm. And then, you speak to them and you say, devotional service, what do you think? And they're like, what's that? Who are you? And they ask so many questions. And then the preaching starts where the rubber meets the road after you lit the fuse on that conversation and suggested radically that they engage in devotional service, that they reach in their pocket and take out their hard-earned money and hand it to you. And then miraculously, 100, 200 people a day would say, okay, all right, I can see you're sincere. I can see you're, that you're really caring for me and not trying to exploit me, manipulate me, fast talk me, flim flam, this is something genuine. I'm going to give, and then they give you a donation. Then they say, thank you. Mm. How can that be? How can Krishna do that? We can't possibly. It seems completely illogical materially, but then you just start going for the horizon all the time, and it's so extraordinary. You're just thinking, now where we can go? Now who can we give this to? So Krishna can give you the empowerment and the courage. So that's my own experience. That Oh, how wonderful is Krishna! What a miracle! Let me see if anybody else wants to talk. I tell you, glory to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, I want to talk. Maharaj, can you tell us how you became a devotee? There's a legend that you walked out on your family home and you threw the keys in the river. Is that true?
Oh.
No?
I don't. No, I didn't throw keys in the river. I did leave home, not for Krishna, unfortunately, for Maya. But then...
Tell us how that happened.
Excuse me?
Tell us how that happened, how you became a devotee, including the pre-devotional phase of leaving everything behind. Maybe
well, fortunately, there's not much time left. But basically... when I was still in high school, I heard Prabhupada's recording, the first album, or maybe it was a little after, but around that time, maybe when I was 16, 17. And so I knew that the chanting was something. And I used to chant Hare Krishna even just by hearing Prabhupada's recording. Then later, when I went I wound up living in New York on the Lower East Side. And I knew that there was a temple on 2nd Avenue. The record album had the address. And finally, one Sunday I went there and met the devotees and took part in the chanting and the whole business. And I just kept coming every day after that, and then joined. Actually, Hansatuta, the late Hansatuta Prabhu, at one Sunday feast, he's, just a couple of weeks after I'd been coming for maybe a week, 2 weeks, something like that. He used to sit on the floor with a big plate of prasadam in front of him, preaching to like 10 people at once, this person on the right, this person on the left. And he just said, why don't you join? What are you waiting for? And I said, well, I think I might like to, but, like gradually, like gracefully, I wouldn't want to, break things, relationships and this and that. I think do it, in a more natural fashion. He said, what are those things? And I said, and I joined the next day.
Right.
Those are the days when they would say, do you believe in God? Do you believe you serve God? Why don't you move in? Wow, just like that, right? Move in, full-time, engage in service. Wow.
But how would that joining the movement manifest for someone who is in the middle of their family life and duties and obligations? How does one cultivate that? You said gradually. Does that mean you start giving your wife less and less money every day? Or how does that work?
Well, of course, that's an idea, but I'm writing a book about it actually called The Vanaprastha Adventure. But there are, how does it look? You're in family life, and now the time has come. Of course, in family life, when you're still young and still a suitable person for the Grihastha ashram, then you have to balance your activities. You have to give, which means give more importance to the spiritual activities so that you have a grounding for the other things that you do, for your job, for your home life, and so on. If you make it the balance that, well, I'll just sprinkle a little Krishna consciousness on, well, it'll have that, it'll be just a little spice in your life. But if you make it the substance of your life, then everything else will fit. Everything else will fit and fit better. So that's Grihastha life. Mm-hmm. Then in the mature stage, then Vanaprastha life. So what does it look like? Start giving up. I've made a checklist, actually. Start with, it's like we think of high risk of, leaving home, and, start with the small things. Cancel your Netflix subscription.
That's done. Check. Okay.
So, start checking off the things. What are the things I don't need? Do I need the television set? Do I need, the BMW? Do I need this? Do I need that? Do we need this home? Could we downsize? What can we give away? What can we do without? What activities should we discontinue because they're of no spiritual value to us? Sex, that should stop.
That's the second one after Netflix?
Yeah, first give up your Netflix subscription, then give up sex life, right?
Next.
It comes in 3 categories, if I recall the way I put it. One is up your sadhu sangha. Just increase sadhu sangha. There's so many classes, there's so many retreats, there's so many festivals, there's daily programs at temples. Increase your sadhu sangha. There's everything's on Zoom. increase your sadhu sangha. Do everything you can to get more and better sadhu sangha. That's one category. Then another category is sadhana. Up your sadhana. Increase your reading, improve your chant. Get up early if you're not already getting up early. Come to the temple if that's an option. Otherwise, have a regular schedule of things that you tune into. At home, read with other family members, have kirtan. So up the sadhana. That's the second thing. And the third thing is seva, render service. In various ways, you come to the temple and make garlands, or go out and distribute books, or clean the temple floor. Anyone is eligible. These things purify the heart and enable us to get the mercy of Krishna and become free from attachments. We get a higher taste and we get Krishna's mercy. Engage in seva. Preaching is the best seva. Otherwise, any kind of service. So service, sadhana, and sadhu sangha, these three things. And within that, there's so many divisions, so many categories. Those three things. And they're powerful. So if we increase them, then we don't miss the material life. Where in sadhu, when we're in the intense and blissful association of devotees, then we don't think, but I miss this, I miss that, and what about my cat? And it just goes, it sort of starts to evaporate as it deserves to. So this is the thing. Chanting Hare Krishna, engaging in spiritual activities, rendering service, associating with devotees, and we can be freed. We can be freed from material existence. It's what we're meant for. This is what our life is meant for. Getting free and then doing good for others. Janma sarthakari, karaparopakar. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. So it's time for me to go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you everyone for tuning in, for contributing to class. Maharaj, thank you so much. We can't wait to have you speak next time. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for inspiring us in this wonderful way.
Thank you so much.
Seva, Sadhana, and Sadhu Sangha. Wonderful.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.